Hello everyone, this is Southern Belle Whisper. I hope you all are doing well today and that you are having a very blessed Sunday. I have a juicy gossip video for you guys today. Yes, I do. Some things have gone down recently and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a decision I made yesterday. And we're going to talk about today a little bit. But I promised you guys that I would try this in a video. I've already poured it into my glass because I've had to restart this video I don't know how many times. But you guys know I don't drink alcohol that much. But sometimes you just need a drink, you know. I think we all have those moments. But alcoholism runs in my family, and I've been around many alcoholics in my life, and I don't want to be that way, but sometimes I just need a drink. So, and I promised you guys that I would try this with you guys. So, it's a Crown Royal Blackberry, by the way, and I'm sorry if my LED light turns off. I do have my bright lamp on, so hopefully it won't be too bad if it goes off, but I've been dying to make this video for you guys ever since yesterday, and I've got a Pepsi. Somebody told me in the comments that zero sugar drinks are actually very delicious. I don't know what the name was, but I'm going to try it. This is the Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry and Cream flavor. This is a new flavor. I've already tried it. It's pretty good, but it might be even better with alcohol. I'm going to use my friend's glass today, and like I said, I've already poured in the Crown Royal, but I will pour in the soda for you guys. This is my favorite glass, you guys. So you guys know this video has to be special if I'm using my friend's glass. I've also ate the edible today. Yes, I have. So, there we go. Put my straw in there, mix it up a little bit. Okay. That needs just a little bit more of the Crown Royal. Wow. Wow. Crown Royal, you know, when it comes to alcohol and when I do drink, I don't buy Crown Royal that much because, as you guys know, Crown Royal is pretty expensive. And by the way, we have like 30 mile per hour winds, 30 to 50 mile per hour winds right now. So if you hear the wind, I'm sorry. But just a little bit more. I like my drink strong. So first, I am going to start with the personal thing that I told you guys about a couple videos ago when I wasn't wearing makeup. You guys remember that video? Yeah. Okay, first let's take a drink. Much better. But dang, that Crown Royal is so smooth, I can't even tell there's alcohol. Anyways, so a few weeks ago, my mother fell. We figured out why she was falling so much. Her doctor had to prescribe her. He had to prescribe her a different sleeping medicine because where she's had the strokes, the sleeping medicine that she was taking made her really groggy and off balance, and she fell one night. And we have like this wooden bench that my parents have had forever, all my life, at least 40 years. And when she fell on her right elbow and hit that bench, and she is already partially paralyzed on her left side. And when she fell, it was like she could only use her legs for at least 2 weeks. Like, she's just now getting to the point where she can walk. That's how bad it was. My aunt came and we took her to her doctor, and her doctor gave her a note for the hospital, which I hate that hospital, to go get x-rays. And they said that she hadn't fractured anything, but like there was a bruise, horrible bruise going down her whole right arm. I know I'm using my left as her right arm. Like, huge bruise. So no matter what, even if she didn't fracture it, like, she came down in such a way that it just, but she was bedbound for a while, you guys, and it scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie, it scared me. I started going in there to her bedroom to do Bible study with her, and just trying to stay strong. You know, I've tried to stay strong for my mama all my life. I had to grow up quick because my mama didn't have anybody, but she had me. So it's been scary. It's been really scary. But she's okay. Thank God. I got her out of the bed today. And she walked to the living room and sat down in the living room for a few hours. And her arm started hurting her. So I was like, okay. I said, Mama, as long as you get up every single day, at least for a few hours, I said, you will not believe how strong you'll become. And you guys, let me just tell you this. When I got here, I despised my mother. Because when I met my ex, he used things against me that I told him when we had fallen in love or whatever. I told him things about my life in confidence because, I was in love with him and I thought he was the man of my dreams and we were going to get married and have children and la la la. And I told him things in confidence. And classic narcissist, he used those things against me to where he alienated me from my mother. And when I got here, I had to get out that brainwashing stage that my mother was the enemy. Like, but I realized recently when she fell and she was bedbound, and I thought I was going to lose her. It went away. It did. Like, I'm not going to lie, you guys. When I first got here, I'd yell at my mother. I'd have an attitude with her. And, like, it was bad. I'm not going to lie. And I'm disappointing myself over it now because thinking that your mother, who has been there for you your whole life, that saved you so many times, and she's bedbound now, and she's probably going to pass away, and then you're going to be left feeling guilty for the way you treated her. So, it wasn't me, you guys. It was that brainwashing of your mother's the enemy. Remember that money she was supposed to owe you when she got her disability? Like, you guys, I heard that for 10 years. Every week. And every time I'd be on the phone with my mother, it would be, don't forget to remind her to give you that money she owes you. Like, I'd hear shit like that. So, I was totally brainwashed, you guys. But recently, like I said, when I thought I was going to lose her, we were even talking about, I told her, I said, I'm not going to have a funeral for you. I'm going to have a celebration of life. I said, I do not like funerals. I do not like feeling sad over people's lives. I said, you deserve a celebration of life. That's how serious it got. So recently I've decided to become her full-time caregiver. I'm in the talks with, it's called public partnership, where I can get paid pretty good money for taking care of her. I do it for free anyways. I've done it for free, but I'll get into that. But I've been in the talks with her insurance and public partnerships to become her full-time caregiver. So now let's get into the work gossip. I'm sorry if you can hear that wind. It's rattling my windows. Please God, don't let the electric go off. Like all around us, people are losing their electricity, and I'm just like, knock on wood over here. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, especially in my work gossip videos, things have been different at work. Like when I started and I was a sales associate and I was a cashier and I got to interact with my customers and just do what I did best, and I loved it. I loved being a cashier, you guys. And then Nick quit and RJ quit and Teddy and Kirsty all quit at the same time. If you guys remember that work gossip video I did. I can't tell you which one it was off the top of my head, but we started losing the original team that I had started with, and especially with Nick, because he had been there 2 years, and he walked off one day and he was fired. And like he was unhappy for a long time before he walked out. But I didn't really notice it because I worked at the front and I freaking loved my job at the front. And then, as you guys know, recently, somebody had to take Kirsty's place as supervisor. And I thought, why not? Why not? Because when people get jobs, they see themselves going up the ladder and becoming great one day. But you guys, when I became supervisor, I was never at the front as a cashier anymore. I was in the back. And it kind of makes me feel like a failure in a way. My goodness, that wind is awful. Do you guys hear that? I'm so sorry. But I saw what went on in the back. I had no idea. Like, there's trying to inspire people to be better workers, and then there's just being a bitch. Yeah. My gosh almighty. When I got back there, like you guys have seen it. You see these cuts on my hands? That is, if you've ever worked in retail, those tagging guns that have like a needle sticking out of it that you tag the clothes with. Like, they had me so nervous that I would repeatedly cut my fingers with that needle. Accidentally, of course. But they just had me so nervous. Like, I remember when we missed hang. It's called a hang. We hang like 100 pieces of clothes on what they're called Z-racks, and we push them out and the cashiers put them away and la-di-da, whatever. And so they had me so stressed out. And I remember one week that we missed hang goal by 91, and I remember working so hard that night to get closer to the goal that they had set out for me that I was actually crying because I knew we were going to miss hang goal, and I knew, alcohol. I knew that we were going to miss it by just less than 100. It was 91. And you guys, I went home and cried that night because I knew I knew it. So us as supervisors and the assistant manager and my manager, all got reprimanded for missing Hinkle by 91 pieces. We all got a verbal warning. And, I was like, what the fuck? I said, do they not take into account that Kayla calls... Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. Her name's Kayla, not Karen. It's crazy that every Kayla I've ever met in my life has been a bitch. Crazy. But, so where was I? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. 91 pieces. I forgot where I was going with that. But we missed 91 pieces. And I went home and cried. I came back, worked. It was a Monday, the next day. And we all got a verbal warning for missing Hinkle by 91 pieces. And, okay. They didn't take into account that when Kayla and I worked together, and she knows that she could take advantage of me, she would call me to the front, manager to the front, at least 50 times in a night. So they didn't take into account about that. They didn't take into account that day we did not have a donor greeter. So they took nothing into account. They said there is no excuse that you missed 91 pieces to reach Hango. She said there's no excuses. So at that point I was like, okay, I'm starting to see why Nick walked out. I started to see, it was only $1 raise, you guys. You guys want to know, I started off making $14.50, and as a supervisor, I got $1 raise, $15.50, when I was making $19 as a CNA. Yeah. So that was another shitty part about that job. But yeah, they just gave us a really, really hard time. And then I kept telling them about Kayla. I kept saying, we are getting customer complaints about her. We are losing customers for some reason, and I think it's her. We're losing workers, and I think it's her. But it was like Kayla was her pet, was my boss's pet. She loved her because she loved how hard she worked. She did not care about the attitude problem. She did not care. Even when it came from customers, she didn't care. So, yesterday, in which today I realized it was 7 months yesterday since I started that job at Goodwill. 7 months. I didn't even realize it was my anniversary yesterday. Dude, that just makes what I'm about to tell you guys that much better. I'm going to refill my drink a little bit for this. So, yesterday, for one thing, I've been given a coworker of mine a ride to work because I go right by where he stays, and he asked me, he was like, can I get a ride to work? So I've been giving him a ride to work. Totally platonic, by the way, just in case you guys are thinking, oh, it's a male. That's the first thing my parents did when I told them. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a male, what? She's gonna fuck up again. No. But I was just being nice because you guys don't know this about me, but I was friends with a ton of drug addicts when I was with my ex, including my ex. But some of our friends, like Kurt. Kurt was a heroin addict. And they were best friends. But I got to know him under all of that. I got to know what kind of person he was and how funny he was. And I rooted for him. I was like, you can do this. Like, I felt like I was his coach. I would tell him, I'd be like, you can do this. I said, don't let drugs hold you hostage, Kurt. You know, like, I would talk to him all the time. And that's kind of why I see myself maybe being I told you guys about the substance abuse counselor. But he overdosed in my bathroom at the House of Hell is what I call it. He didn't die. He almost did. But it kind of, like, I cut ties with him. I was like, I do not want him back here. I said, he needs, like, I don't want to see him ever again. But there was one night we were standing on the porch, and I said, listen, Kurt, I said, and he was clean. He was clean. He was getting his life together. He'd gotten a job. And I told him, I said, Kurt, listen, I'm sorry that I had to cut ties with you, but my ex had already lost another best friend to drugs, and I said, I can't imagine what would happen if he lost you. I said, if that is the only thing that can help you on this journey of sobriety, then think of that. Think of my ex when you want to put another needle in your arm. And he was like, you're right. And so for 6 weeks he was sober. He was talking to his longtime girlfriend about getting back together. Like, they were together 10 years. And, like, she left him because he was a drug addict. And they were in the talks to get back together. And he still had, like, a Xanax problem. Especially, you know, I couldn't imagine. I never touched the stuff, but I couldn't imagine how hard it is to stay clean off of heroin, you know. So he still has Xanax addiction, and he got one off the street one night, and it was laced with fentanyl, and he died at 29 years old, and that hurt because I cared about him. And I want him to get clean. I want him to have the happily ever after with his longtime girlfriend. Like, I was totally rooting for him. And yeah, so when I meet people that are trying to work on their lives, that have a drug past, that want to work on their lives, I'm nice to them. I just can't help it. Because when I see a person like that, I see Kurt. So I was giving him rides to work, and man, I don't know what happened to him yesterday. It scares me a little bit. So yesterday, Nate didn't show up. That's the kid that I was giving a ride to. He didn't show up. His phone was off. He wouldn't answer his phone. He wouldn't text me, which, that was not like him. And I have a really bad feeling. Not just him quitting, but he didn't show up. And then there was a new kid named Lucas that didn't show up. And it was only 5 of us, I think. I can't remember. But the hanger that usually hangs most of the clothes when she works wasn't there yesterday. And she's usually the one that does at least 700 clothes every single day. So she was off. And then I had to watch the donor door because Nate didn't show up. He was the donor greeter. And so I had to hang. And as you guys can see how freaking stressed they had me about hangle. You can look at my hands. But yesterday I went to my pastor's birthday, or my pastor's wife's birthday party. It was something that I had been looking forward to for weeks, you guys, because I had been going through this with my mother, and I knew it was going to be something fun, something where I could make more friends. And for weeks I was looking forward to it. I had told my boss, I said, I need to get off at 5 today. Yeah. So, and then another cashier, new guy, showed up at 3, and he told me, he said, I need to get off at 6:15 tonight because I need to pick my wife up from a doctor's appointment. So I was like, okay, you need to tell the other supervisor because I don't want to tell you wrong. So he went to her, and she texted my boss, and the boss told her that either one of us, me or the other supervisor, need to tell this cashier that if he left at 6:15, we close at 7, by the way, you guys, that it would count against him and he would be written up. So I had to be the one to tell him. And he was like, okay. He said, I'll make it easy for them then. And he quit. On the spot, he said, pull my drawer. He said, I'm done. He said, I'm done with the rude customers. I'm done with management. I'm done. So I was like, oh shit. I think it took him quitting for me to make my final decision about that job. I was going to be the respectful one. I was going to give my 2 weeks. I was going to be where I didn't, now I can't even go there. This certain store. Yeah. So, I was going to, sorry, I got a nail. I'm sorry. Dang. Anyways. So now I can't go to that certain store. But that is not what made me make the decision that I did. She texted the supervisor and she said, you need to ask Kelly if she'll stay till close and cancel her plans that she told me about her leaving at 5. She said today is just not the day, and she needs to cancel her plan that she had been looking forward to for weeks. And I had confided in my boss about what my mother was going through. And to face value, she'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, and oh, poor thing. But she didn't care that I had been looking forward to this event for weeks, because she said that I needed to stay so I could get as close to hand goal as I could, which was 1820, you guys. 1820 close that I was supposed to hang. That is not even doable, you guys. That is not even close to doable. But when she texted her that, I had a light bulb moment. I stayed till 5. And I did the service request because the other supervisor had to go play cashier from the cashier quitting. And when I left at 5, I said, here's my key. I said, I'm done. And I didn't even realize it was my anniversary yesterday, you guys. But still, I went out respectfully. I stayed till 5. And I clocked out like I'm supposed to. I made sure that when I pulled the cashier that everything was right, like I did, so respectfully. But when I clocked out, I said I left my key on the desk. I'm done. Because come on, that cashier had to leave at 6:15 and we close at 7. I mean, maybe That is just crazy. Crazy, you guys. So I no longer work at Goodwill. But let me tell you guys, last night I was stressing. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What am I going to do now? Oh my gosh. But for one thing, I'm in contact with my mother's insurance company and public partnership. So I'm not really worried about that. What I was worried about last night was, oh my gosh, what if all this falls through? What if her insurance takes a freaking long time to, get me to be her caregiver? I mean, what if? So I couldn't even sleep last night, you guys. Like, I was awake all night. Like, after the adrenaline had worn off, I was like, holy shit, what did I just do? But then I went to church today, you guys, and we'll actually be talking about two things about church. When I went to church today, you guys, that pastor, it's like every single sermon I go to, it's like he's talking to me, straight to me. Like, it's like nobody else is in the room. And he's just like, there's like a freaking spotlight on me, just me. It's like he speaks to me every single time, you guys. So I wore my peacock dress, and he talked about the power of the Holy Word. And he said one of his favorites was, I think it was Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. And you guys, I got goosebumps. Even now, I still get goosebumps. Because I took another step out of faith yesterday, because I don't like not having a job, you guys. I don't like having to fall back on people. I am a very independent woman, and I just hate the thought of taking advantage of people and their hospitality. So, like, I've always worked. I've never not liked to work. Like my ex hated work. But anyways. So I went to church today, and he talked about that and preached about that, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I believe there is, especially being a religious person, I believe there is no such thing as a coincidence. I just don't. But he preached about that, and if I hadn't quit my job yesterday, I wouldn't have been able to go to church today. And then I'd hear about how he didn't make Hangul and why there's no excuses, and like, there was literally no excuses for them, you guys. Literally no excuses. And so, but anyways, so I went to church. I heard that amazing sermon, and I know one of my subscribers is very invested in this, and God forgive me, I don't remember her name. I think it was a woman talking about David. Now, people from my church have been adding me all over the place. Like, when they add me, I'm like, do I know you? Because I haven't met everybody at the church. And there was one fellow, I don't know why, but I've always been friends better with men. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I grew up with 5 brothers, but I've always found myself in better friendships with men. So I thought to myself, I was like, okay. So, because this one kid, fellow, added me on Facebook. His name is Michael. And I was like, okay, when I go to church, Michael's going to be there. And, it's nothing, Kelly. It's nothing. Because you're going to go to church and be like, oh, Michael is cute too. Like, I thought was just like a... Hold on, my phone's dying. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. I didn't even realize I had been talking that long, you guys. Jeez, I've really missed you guys though. But you guys know that since I've been here, I've had a lot of crushes. And now I look back, I'm like, oh, gosh, Kelly, you still have the worst taste in men. But as I told you guys in that last video where I mentioned David, since Easter, I just was curious about him. I wanted to know what his story was. I was like, what's going on there? But I thought when I went to church today and Michael would be there, I was like, okay, Kelly, this is just one of those crushes that you have. You know, once you see Michael in person, you'll probably have a crush on him too, because I've always been boy crazy, you guys. But I saw Michael and I smiled real big and I waved at him. Felt nothing. Nothing. And then when I pulled into the parking lot and was parking, David was getting his guitar out of his truck. And I literally stood at my car thinking that he might turn around and see me and say hi. But he didn't. Like, I was just standing there like an idiot, waiting for like 5 minutes. Waiting for him to turn around and see me and say hi. But he walked away with his guitar. He teaches a Sunday school class of 11-year-olds. Oh, gosh, you guys. So he walked away, and I went and sat down, and he sat down like 6 or 8 rows ahead of me. I don't like sitting at the very front. He does. But I usually sit like right in the middle. Like, I don't like being in the front, but I don't like being in the back either. But I saw him walk in, and he had commented, I realize The Shack is on Netflix, you guys. If I tell you about no other movie, please watch The Shack. You don't even have to be a Christian to watch The Shack. It's amazing, and that movie means so much to me. And I found out it was on Netflix today, and I didn't know that. And I posted about it. I was like, if you guys watch no other movie, please watch The Shack on Netflix. And David commented that he said it was a good movie, but made me cry, and I don't cry easily with movies. So that was before we went to church, so I was already like, you know, what is it, butterflies or rainbows or whatever was coming out of my head already. So when I pulled into the parking lot and I saw him getting his guitar out of his truck, I just stood there like an idiot. I did not shout hi or nothing. I was just like, don't embarrass yourself, Kelly. Don't embarrass yourself. And then when church was done, same thing. I stood in my aisle looking, acting like I was looking for my keys for like 5 minutes, and I don't know where. I did not even see him leave. I don't know where he left. But as I was getting in my car, I realized that he was getting in his car too, and I had a chance to say hi, but it was raining, it was windy, and the wind was lifting my dress up a little bit, and I was scared that I'd have like a Marilyn Monroe moment right in front of him. So, but it got really windy and rainy. But as I was backing out my car, I noticed him getting into his truck, and I was just like, oh my gosh. But you guys, I have this problem of getting crushes on men that are unattainable, and for one thing, I'm still technically married, so it can't go anywhere physical or anything like that anyways, but I just love talking to him, and I have a big crush, you guys, but it can't go nowhere. No matter what, it can't go nowhere, but I love being his friend and talking about God and watching. He still is the loudest voice in the whole church, shouting glory and hallelujah and amen. And I was like, he has inspired me to not be afraid to glorify the Lord in church, because when I first started that church, I was a total wallflower. I was shy, I was introverted, and he was literally 8 rows over, and I heard him jump up and shout, glory, hallelujah, 8 rows over, halfway across the church. And since that moment, for some reason, and then out of all the crushes I've had through this almost 2 years, like, I noticed him immediately. But like I said, it can't go nowhere for the time being. But I just thought it was hilarious that when I saw Michael, who is also pretty cute himself, I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I wish I did, so I could just say, okay, Kelly, okay, it's typical Kelly, getting crushes on guys that are unattainable or don't find her attractive. But I felt nothing. I don't know, you guys, I don't know. Like I said, I've always had crushes. Since I got separated from my ex, I've always had crushes on men that are unattainable. I think to myself, even going out of the church today, I was like, he literally went in a back door or something so he didn't have to pass me. Because he disappeared. Like, I don't know. I don't know how he got out of the church. I do not know. Do I sound stalkerish to you guys? I promise you guys, I, like with RJ and Nick, I would text them all the time, in which I've deleted their numbers. By the way, I'm proud of myself, that was like a month ago. I would text them all the time. But with David, I don't message him all the time. I don't even message him every day, or the day after that, or the day after that. Maybe once a week, I'd say. I'll react to some of his posts, but I do not message him. And so I'm like, okay, Kelly, what the hell's going on right now? What is wrong with you? Like, what is going on right now? God, he's so cute. Jeez. I never thought that I would be into a bald guy, you guys. Like, never in my life, and I don't mean to sound shallow, but I never in my life, especially my ex, when he shaved his head. When my parents came down, he shaved his head. And, ugh. But, like, David makes it look so good. I don't know, you guys. I've got a problem. You guys need to help me. But that is not the only reason I attend that church. Like with the pastor's wife's birthday, like I wanted to go to that event so bad so I could make friends, you guys. I want to get more into the church so I can meet people that are like me, that just want to know that they have a purpose in this life. Because, you guys, I see where I've come from, and I say to myself, you have a grander purpose. I do. And I don't mean that to sound conceited. I just know in my heart that I have a purpose in this life, and it wasn't working at Goodwill. Like, I sold myself short for 7 months, you guys. I was a CNA for 12 years. I've got CNA experience under my belt. If I wanted to, I could get my nursing license. But for some reason, I just always felt like whatever God has planned for me, it's something better than even that. I've had this because I've been writing in a prayer journal for, it's been a while, almost a year. And I realize how beautifully I write. And I'm like, dude, I should write a story about my life. Because you guys, that shit would be a bestseller. And I don't even mean just with my ex. I mean, before I met my ex, my problem with bullying, my tonsil problem that I told you guys about, being sick as a kid, losing my brother, it would be such a big bestseller, but I wouldn't know where to start. But I want to take a creative writing class. If I don't take anything, I want to take a creative writing class because I do believe I have what they call it. Oh my gosh, it was right there too. Don't you guys hate when that happens? I have a talent with writing. I always have. My mother was a wonderful writer when she was younger as well. So, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I just don't have as much faith in myself as I thought I did. But, yeah, so that is the ramble for you guys. I just know I'm 34 years old and I just don't want to do these odd jobs anymore. Like being a retailer or being a cashier and I don't look down on people like that, you guys. I just want you to know that. If you work at McDonald's, I still love you, okay? But I have just always known that God has something greater for me than that. I just do. Because I've gone through so much test and trials and lost people I love, and I'm still standing. And I know it's for a reason. I don't know what it is yet, but I know it's for a reason. I do. I really do. But anyways, you guys, that is my little ramble catch up for you guys. But I love you guys, and I will be talking to you soon.